Yes. I'm trying to think of, should we play it first?
Do you want to? Do we have
I
it?
want to. I don't have it on my slides, but can we access it from here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead and access it, and it should be. Just go to YouTube and then Geometry Productions. I just think I had it up there. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't talking into the mic. I'm gonna take this out. So, thank you guys for having me. Like you said, I am Kaiden Hudson. I'm actually a graduate of Bacone College. I graduated last spring, and I was one of the first people to graduate. I actually graduated with a minor in 21st Media Communications. My actual background is in technology. But shortly after I graduated, while Raquel is finding this, and she found it before I could even finish this. Good job. Before I actually got into my current field, I actually took some time to explore film and kind of go out on a limb and take a leap of faith. Chris Core actually introduced me to a man by the name of Russ Kirkpatrick, who he is the owner of Kirkpatrick and Kinsler Productions, where they won an Emmy for their documentary Boomtown, which is over the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I got to work with that with that company for about a year, and within that time, I actually found that there was a really good, or I actually found I had a really good passion for filmmaking, more specifically production. Because while I like writing, while I like editing, I'm better off talking to people and trying to make a project come to life. You know, take an idea from a living room conversation to something on screen. And that's kind of where 10,000 Hours came about. And so, Raquel, go ahead.
Oh, there's not. Okay.
Yeah, just gets really loud in the beginning.
Did it turn the mic off? The mic turned the mic off.
No, I know.
No, that's part of
That's
it.
part
Hi there, my name is Ben. I'll be your waiter today. Here are some menus. Is there anything I can start you off with, like waters or... I'll be right back with those waters, okay? Thanks. Can you help me out with my table? I'm completely swamped here.
Thanks, Finn. You're my hero. Things are bad for you.
Yeah, you can say that.
Can you keep a secret?
Can you share? Okay. Back to work. Back to work.
When he does show up, I'm going to focus on his hand speed.
Long day? Yeah, something like that.
Good, get dressed. Meet me back at the bag. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's not focused.
I know you eating for breakfast.
So what's up, Big Ben? Shit, how many times I gotta tell you? I'm gonna catch that money shot. What I got to do, show you?
You like to see you try.
Excuse me?
You hurt me, no offense, but you haven't been boxing in a while. And your old school methods of training? You're gonna do me no good here.
What you mean, my old school methods?
I mean, yeah? When's the last time you were even in the ring?
Shit, it can be in 2 minutes if you think you can hang.
All I need is 30 seconds, I'll knock you out cold.
Knock me out.
Knock you out
You
cold.
know what? You go around with John, then you can get your 30 seconds with me.
Easy.
Already? Hasn't even been important. No, leave him.
Done.
No, leave him.
I'm done.
Talking about all you need is 30 seconds. Talking all that shit.
Every time you try something, you fail. not good enough. Not worthy of anything. No. No. Stick around because of it. You get exactly what you deserve. You lose and fail. I don't care what you say to me.
Champ. You know we all have our past and we all have our future. And we're all seeking that one thing, glory. That at the end of the match, our hand gets ready. We all want that. But you gotta be willing to put in the hard work.
Yeah, I've heard it all before. Hard work pays off. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But the truth of the matter is, life doesn't care.
You know what, maybe you're right. But you still gotta be willing to put in that 10,000 hours. The glory lasts forever. And all you have to do is start with that 1 minute. That 1 minute. That's all I ask from you. Get in your mind, man. I believe in you.
So this whole journey started actually last year at the Bear Pillins Film Festival, where I actually sat down at a table very similar to this one, and I got to talk to a director and a composer. And I talked to them, like, how did you guys get started? You know, when did you guys really get into this? And they both said, ironically, we started with our city's 48-hour film challenge. I was like, okay, explain, because I have no idea what that is. And they go, well, pretty much it's an organization that they host, they host different teams within their city, and you make a film within 48 hours. I was like, okay, that sounds easy enough. And they're like, it's only 7 minutes long, all that stuff. I was like, cool. And so I signed up the next day. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'm signed up, now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. Luckily, I had a little bit of time. I had about 3 months to kind of prepare my team. And so one of the first things I did is I went to Professor Sikora. I was like, okay, I know that I graduated a couple days ago, but now I'm making a film and I needed to do it in 48 hours. And he goes, good luck, but here's some names. And so he obviously gave me the list of his students and all that stuff. And I also, of course, knew Raquel. And so I asked Raquel about it, and I kind of gave the details when it was going to be, and I said, anything you can bring to the table, bring to the table. And so she obviously brought her camera equipment and her editing skills and her writing skills. And about a month goes by, I'm down to 2 months, and I need a couple more people, because Raquel and I, we were going to stress really hard if we had to do this by ourselves. And so I ended up meeting a guy through my wife, Christy, whose name is Oscar, and he actually had done some theater productions and some voice acting. And I was like, well, you obviously know how to act, and you are very good at that, and he is something that he's comfortable at least in front of people, so he'll be comfortable in front of a camera. So I talked to him, he was on board. So we were 3 people down to make a 48-hour film. And I was like, we're gonna need a little bit more than this, but we're at a good start. 3 days before I'm supposed to go to Oklahoma City to pick up my packet to see what our film is gonna be about. And for those of you who have never heard of the 48-Hour Film Challenge, it's in Oklahoma City in Oklahoma as of right now. I've kind of talked to the director of the Oklahoma chapter, and I'm trying to get him to make one at least like in Tulsa, just so that way Tulsa teams don't have to drive all the way down there to Oklahoma City. But as of right now, Oklahoma City, you go to Oklahoma City and you pick up a packet for each team, and you have a leader or a representative from each team. And so you have to get a theme or a genre, you have to get a prop and a character, and then you have a line that you're given that you have to use. And all 4 of those things have to be used in the film in some fashion. Now, how they get used is up to you. And so for us, our character was Ben, who was our main character. Then Ben had to be a waiter. Our secret line was, can you keep a secret? And then our prop was a marker. And then our genre was coming of age and martial arts. And so we kind of got lucky in that because Oscar also was actually a boxer, and so we got lucky with that aspect. And then the coming of age, we took, instead of a true coming of age, because we didn't really have any kids to do that, we decided to go with a hero's journey. Because we had to use one or the other, we didn't have to use both, and there was no points for using both, so we decided to go that route. So 3 days before I go to pick up all that information and figure out how we're gonna make all of that happen, Oscar goes, hey, I got a couple of buddies who have cameras and have equipment. I was like, please call them, because as of right now, I'm pretty sure we have 1 camera in my iPhone. And that's kind of what we were going with at the time. Well, we get a hold of the man named Bryce Rendiesel. And Bryce Rendiesel, you may have never heard his name, but I promise you've seen some of his work. He actually has worked and shot commercials for Nike, the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe a couple of Vivo music videos. And so the kid is extremely talented in his videography, and we were so blessed to have him. And so he comes to our team, and he gets there, and I was like, I just want to let you know before you unpack a single thing that this is completely voluntary, and I promise you, if you do not want to do this, I totally understand. He goes like, oh no, I'm fine with it. He's like, this is going to a film festival, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm all for it. And so we got really lucky in that aspect. And so, and Raquel, you were here for this part. Once we got all of our stuff, we had to come back to my apartment for a 2-hour drive. And we picked up the stuff at, 7, maybe?
Yeah.
And we picked up the stuff at about 7. And Raquel met at our apartment where we found out that our AC was broken in the middle of July. And so Raquel and I got to sit in a hot room while Bryce and Oscar went to pick up equipment in an AC car. We got to sit and write the script for this. And so we were already in the mood for sweating and acting and all of that fun stuff. And so we sat there for how long?
3 hours, I think.
About 3 hours
Yeah.
writing a film. You went home at about 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, 1:30, I think.
Yeah, she went home about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30, and we had just finished the script. And about that time, Bryce and Oscar had come back. And they're like, okay, what do we got? I was like, so here's the script. We started editing it from that point. And we started pulling out parts that we didn't need. We started putting the stuff that we did need because, again, we only have 7 minutes to make this, but we have 48 hours to shoot everything, finish it, and turn it back in. So we couldn't waste a lot of time here, and since we weren't going to have the energy to do anything at night, we were going to do all of this process as much as we could right now. So we got done about with 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And Raquel was going to meet us on later in the day, and we were going to get up at 5. So we got about an hour nap. So we got up at 5, went and shot some of the B-roll, the stuff that we could shoot in the morning, the stuff that we needed to shoot in the morning. Then we met Raquel at my apartment to go over more lines and stuff for Oscar. However, we were still missing a coach, as you saw. That man, his name was Brandon Jones, and Brandon Jones is actually going to be coming out with he's actually in a special on Netflix that's coming out next month, I believe. Yeah, it's coming out next month. And he is an extremely talented actor. I mean, he's done a bunch of shorts, a bunch of skits for numerous people. He actually worked with Kirkpatrick and Kinslow also. And so he's an extremely talented young man, and he actually helped Oscar a lot with camera presence. And so the reason we got him is because Bryce goes, hey, I just got a text from a buddy asking if he wants to have lunch, but he's actually an actor, and so would you like to see? I was like, tell him I'll buy him lunch if he comes and acts for us. And so he's like, okay. And so he comes up, and I was like, hey, my name's Kaiden. We're doing a film. Do you mind taking these lines and reading them, and then get ready in an hour? And he goes, yeah, sure, I don't have anything else to do today. So we got really lucky in that aspect. So being able to kind of everything that happened from this point to this point just fell into place. And Oscar had a couple of other friends who we used as stand-ins, kind of like the gentleman that you saw in the restaurant that he was talking to. He was around, and he actually was the grandson of the restaurant that we used. And so we got really lucky being able to use the restaurant and having a waiter as one of the people we needed to fulfill that criteria. And so we go through the rest of the shots. Bryce, Brandon, and Oscar did an amazing job. Bryce really took reins on the directing role and the videography. Raquel also did really great videography. Some of those back shots, and actually this shot right here, she took a lot of great behind the scenes, but she also did a lot of great rolling shots, like the ones going past the bags and scrolling around Oscar. She was the ones that did all of those. So she did a really great job on that, and especially she was able to help Bryce because, did you happen to have any pictures of Bryce in his Iron Man suit that he had?
I don't know. I only have pictures of Bryce.
Okay, so pretty much this is Bryce, our cameraman right there. And then this is actually funny. It's outside right there, and it's about 100 degrees outside. Our cameras actually kept overheating, so that shot took a lot longer than I wanted it to. But Bryce right there, he was phenomenal. He was doing about 20 things at once. But what was really awesome about Bryce is that he had this contraption that he built himself, and it was pretty much a chest harness that had about 3 or 4 arms that would come off it that he could attach other cameras to. Now the reason being is because he would want a camera shot here and he'd want one a little bit higher above. And he was used to being a one-man show, and so he had all of these things. And at one point I look at Raquel, I go, Raquel, take one of those cameras from him, please, because I feel like he's about to pass out in this heat. And so Raquel did a really great job stepping in and not only helping me with the script, but helping with the videography and then even some of the editing. And so we got all of the shots done on Saturday. We picked up our packets on Friday, shot all day Saturday, and then up to Saturday night, it's when we get to edit. Now Bryce was also, being a one-man show, was a master of editing. And he literally picked up his setup that he has at home, loaded it into his car, and brought it to my apartment, and we set him up on my kitchen table. I mean, he's got 2 monitors, he's got a whole bunch of flash drives, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it looked like we were trying to crack someone's bank account with how much equipment we had. And he comes in and he goes, all right, I'm gonna start editing. I was like, okay. And so I'm sitting in there with him editing, and we were editing from about probably 10 o'clock at night till about 3:30 in the morning again. And so at this time, Bryce and I have got about 2 hours of sleep at best. And he is editing like crazy. I ended up falling asleep at the table, and I wake up and our AC came back on finally, and he was covered in a blanket, cold, because the AC came back on and was still editing away. And so I wake up, I go, dude, have you slept? He's like, not a bit. I was like, okay, well, we ended up going through, we needed to call Oscar and Brandon back for some voiceovers because of the audio. They came back over, thankfully, and we were able to get that audio cleaned up. We got all of that done, and it was about this time on Sunday, about 12 in the afternoon, and we all sat in my living room and watched the film, and it was completely done, and we were like, we feel good about this. So we made 2 copies, because that was a requirement, made 2 copies on a flash drive, handed it in, and my wife and I drove down to Oklahoma City, dropped it off, and that was that. And then of course the film festival part comes where everyone you see their film, you get critiqued and you get put in categories, all that fun stuff. So we ended up coming out with 3 nominations, and we ended up walking away with one win. And for me, that was anything I wanted, and I told him, I go, I don't care if we win the whole thing, because you win the whole thing, you get to go, if you win the whole thing in Oklahoma, you go straight to the International Film Festival in Paris. If you get 2nd and 3rd, you go to Nationals. And we were just short of 3rd place. We actually, it was actually a tie for a very long time, and it wasn't until the very last moment that we found out we fell just short of 3rd. But for all of us, essentially, for Raquel and I to go, there was 2 of us, and we were trying to figure out how to do this for 2 months, till 3 days before, we had a film that competed amongst 100 teams, about 100 teams. And to make it to even the top 50 of that was truly an honor. And you know, I don't know if you guys have ever, I'm sure most of you have, but you're part of a group project and everyone's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to schedule times, and then 24 hours before you're like, we haven't done anything. That's pretty much how it feels for 48 hours trying to do this festival, except you don't know what you're going to walk in with, because people, after talking to some of the people that went, they said, oh yeah, we pre-scouted locations, because it was within the rules. You could pre-scout locations, you could pre-ask for music, you could pre-ask for special effects, you could do all these pre-stuff, but 99% of it needed to be from start to finish, 48 hours. Now, we truly did everything start to finish 48 hours, and so that was something that it really tests not only your creativity, but your resourcefulness. And that was one thing that I learned, especially on the producer end, was how resourceful can you be with the people you know. And one thing that the biggest takeaway from this is that Tulsa is a film community at heart. You just got to look for it. Yeah. I reached out to everyone on Facebook and all that, and after we shot everything, and after we got our nominations and our awards from the 48 Hour Film Festival in Oklahoma City, Bryce took it upon himself to ask some other people around some smaller film festivals and art shows, and we actually ended up showing it around the greater Tulsa area. We showed it at a couple of art shows and smaller film festivals in Tulsa, where it got more awards and some more recognition. And so that was really cool to see that a film that was made in Tulsa, people were like, yeah, absolutely, bring it on, we'll show it. So that was something that was really cool, because I had no idea it existed, and so it was really nice to see that, because I had worked with Kropatschek and Kinslow, and of course they're kind of the big dogs around Tulsa. And for me to have him come up to me and go, hey, I saw your film the other day at a little art show that I went to. I was like, yeah, I did that, and I forgot to tell you, I'm sorry. And so it was really kind of cool to get that notoriety from him, and for them to support one another, and to say anytime you need help or anytime you need a phone number to call, because if you need this or this, give me a call and I'll put you in front of the right person. And so.
Well, at first, whenever Kaiden sort of came up with the idea to do the film, I did initially want to, but I'm like, you guys know me, I really don't talk to a lot of people. I don't really work with a lot of people, so at first I was really skeptical, because I was like, oh God, like, I'm not sure like what I can kind of bring. I mean, I can film and edit or whatever, but hopefully they'll like me, I guess. So, so that day, whenever we started, working and stuff, I just met Bryce like 10 minutes before, and then we started working together. So I was like, okay. And then Oscar, like everybody, I kind of just met everyone there, and they're like, okay, so what do you do? And so I was like, oh, I write and I film. I'm on YouTube, and I don't know what to say. So we started working together, and me and Bryce hit it off really well at first, and so I was like, oh, thank God this guy's not a douchebag. So that's like the biggest thing. I always use that word, I'm sorry. But I was really afraid that the people I was going to work with weren't going to be people that I like. So I'm so glad that the whole cast, I love everyone that worked on this. So I was like, thank God, because I was like really afraid to do that. So as someone that works alone all the time, it was really great to be in a cast that we all got along and stuff, and it really felt like cool like that. So and so I always like remember like funny moments of the whole film process, like whenever his AC went out, and then we went to the boxing rink or the boxing place afterward, and Oscar, like, we need some like sweat for this scene. And so they were like, oh, there's some water, there's like a water bottle right there, like grab it and spray it on his face. I'm like, okay, and I spray like 3 big sprays, and it wasn't water, it was actually sanitizer. And so he's like, oh my God, my eyes are burning. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't, because afterward we can all smell it, and I was like, that wasn't water in there. I was like, but we got the shot, so that's all that matters. So but yeah, just like little funny moments like that. And then the port of transportation was like Bryce's car, his little, what kind of car did he have? Honda Civic. It was like 2 doors, like all his like equipment was in the back, like my stuff, I had like 2 eggs, like I don't know how we got around Tulsa with that car, because like literally we were like crammed in that thing because of all the equipment and stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of how we did it. And so we just location, and it was like 100 degrees too, like all of us were like sweating, like yeah, I don't know how we did it, but it was pretty fun, so I had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely fun, and anyone that wants to do it, I would highly suggest it. The entry fee is relatively low, surprisingly, for a film festival of that caliber. It was I believe early registration is about $100, and then after that's $125. And so it's pretty low, and the team that actually ended up winning it, believe it or not, half the team was comprised of people that worked for or with Kirkpatrick and Kinslow. And so I got to talk to him, the director of it, a little bit and asked him about it. And he goes, honestly, what you guys experienced is the exact same thing we experienced. It's like we were all super stressed. We were all super wound tight. And we were like, we got to get this done, got to meet this deadline for this, got to get this shot this time. He goes, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. And I'd love to do it again. And he's going to do it again this upcoming July. And I'm looking to maybe do it again as well, depending on kind of my schedule, if I can. I'd like to do it again, except this time I'd like to take a step back and at least host a team, get money for the entry, and then just kind of guide a team into making a film. Because for me, being a student, and I know for Raquel being a student, this was a huge, hands-on experience that we got to do. And so for me, it would be worth it to take a team and go, okay, guys, this is what you need to expect, and this is not how you need to do it, but this is what you guys should expect. So work with each other to get it done, because once you learn that teamworking aspect, it makes everything so much easier. Because I'm sure any of you that have worked in film at any length of time, if the people you're working with are difficult, it makes the entire process and the entire product difficult. But if everyone works together pretty cohesively, you get a good product and it competes very well. And so that was one thing that I really encourage if anyone wants to do this. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And this concludes an exciting thing also that it started here a year ago, and we have results next year. It's something, great project, great experiences. So I'm glad that, there's a purpose to it, I guess. We have a low, thank you very much. This was the last session, and hopefully we'll see you next year. All right, I have to teach right now at 12, and I have a class.